Within the last few days, two major stories have caught the nation's attention, both involving high-ranking judges, but both very different subjects. For more, we go to political correspondent Joe St. George, who's live in Washington, D.C. this morning. Joe, good morning to you. Let's start with the latest on mifepristone, the abortion pill that a Texas judge is effectively trying to ban nationwide, while another judge in Washington state attempts to limit the reach of that ruling. And Joe, we know that the Biden administration is currently appealing that ruling, but what impact would we see if the nationwide ban of the common abortion pill holds up?
Yeah, absolutely. As we chat this morning, Matt, all eyes are on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals because that's what we're waiting to hear from. The Fifth Circuit's traditionally conservative leaning, so conservatives certainly have the advantage here. The question before the Fifth Circuit is, do they keep this ban that a Texas judge wants to have in place until further hearings, more formal oral arguments can be scheduled, or do they allow the pill to continue to be prescribed as it has been for years until more formal hearings are prescribed? The conventional thinking is this is on a crash course with the Supreme Court, and this case is going to appear on their docket or their shadow docket in a matter of days. If the Fifth Circuit sides with conservatives, the Department of Justice will side with the Supreme, will go to the Supreme Court for an appeal, and they'll try to ask the High Court the same questions. Can you stay this ruling until an actual argument can take place? Although it's very possible that this conservative-leaning court blocks this pill right away. Why does this matter? Well, remember when the Dobbs decision came down last year, that impacted conservative states like Idaho vastly different than it impacted places like Washington State or California, which saw very little change in reproductive rights policy. If mifepristone is banned nationally, that will impact red states and blue states alike. Remember, mifepristone is most commonly used by physicians to end pregnancies, medication abortions, as they are referred to as. I think it's important for viewers waking up with us in Idaho, though, Matt, to remember, if mifepristone gets banned, that doesn't end medication abortions from coast to coast. Providers do have other medications, other drugs that can be used, although, as the World Health Organization has previously said, those other drugs often carry with it more side effects.
Okay, good points there. Now, you were mentioning that, of course, this could end up with the Supreme Court. So sticking with some Supreme Court issues right now, it was recently disclosed that longtime Justice Clarence Thomas has allegedly accepted countless lavish trips from a billionaire Republican donor for more than 20 years without disclosing them, which could be a possible violation of federal law. So, Joe, what's next for Justice Thomas, and do you expect Congress or possibly even the rest of the Supreme Court to do anything about these findings?
Well, let's start with what Justice Thomas has said in response to this story, first published by ProPublica, a nonprofit investigative journalism online website. Justice Thomas, in a statement late Friday, said that he believed that this donor was a friend and that he wasn't being influenced because of his position on the court, but these gifts, if you will, these trips, were just a matter of being friends with the billionaire, and that a personal exemption for years existed on the High Court, which allowed justices not to disclose things like this if they believe it was from a friend. Obviously, that is a point of contention. You asked what can be done. Well, there's three options Congress could do in an event like this. They always have the impeachment option. That's not going to happen. The votes aren't there for that. But Congress has impeached Supreme Court justices in the past. Option number two is they could very easily pass new ethics laws. Remember, the Supreme Court does not have a code of ethics. The House of Representatives does, the Senate does, the White House does, the Supreme Court does not. So new ethics laws could be passed. Matt, I think the most realistic thing that we're going to see is we're going to see some public hearings, possibly embarrassing some of the justices for their past practices. I would expect news on that to happen in the coming days and weeks.
Okay, gotcha. We'll look forward to that. Political correspondent Joe St. George live from Washington, D.C. this morning with the latest on basically everything. And Joe, as always, thanks so much for being here and all the great info.